Do you want to set up your DSLR camera with a cage system using your mobile phone as the monitor screen for a very cheap price? Well, here I'm going to show you how I set my system up and how you can set yours up. Now, since I do a lot of video now as well as still photography, I've been looking into getting a camera cage or some kind of system where I can have the camera, a screen, microphone and light. If you look around on the internet or in the camera stores, you can end up spending an extreme amount of money on this. So my goal is to show you how you can put a pretty awesome rig together with a very decent screen, a nice cage, microphone and light for not too much money. And the best thing about this is it's expandable. You can choose whichever pieces you want or don't want or upgrade later. So the first part is the Opteka X Grip 2. I looked into CamCaddy, the X Grip 1, and there's a load of cheap Chinese pieces on the market. These are generally made with a rubber bending piece around here, or plastic, which doesn't support that much weight and it doesn't feel very nice in the hand. It's great for things like skateboarding, where you're going to be throwing it around and you don't mind if there's a bit of give in it. But this is a lot more solid. This will set you back about $35. And here we have the Canon 6D, which I'm going to screw onto the Opteka. Making sure that's nice and tight. Now, as you see, the 6D does not have a rotating screen. So if you want a full frame camera, 5D Mark III will also fit in here. The 6D, you cannot flip the screen out and have it on the side there. So as you see, you have a problem trying to see what you're recording. So I'm running the 6D here with the Canon 24-105L lens with a neutral density gradient filter. The major problem with this kind of system is that you cannot see the screen when you hold the grip. You can see it a little bit through there, but it's not ideal. You want to be able to shoot low down, see the screen, shoot high up, over crowds and stuff like that. So that is where I started looking into the screens. Now there's a lot of stuff on the market, full HD, good quality screens, but they're going to set you back, for the good ones, $600 to $900. You can pick up some low quality ones for as low as maybe $300-400. But this didn't seem like a very attractive route for me. Then I found out about this app called Dslr Controller, which is made by, who's it made by? It's made by Chainfire. Now they have made an app so you can actually connect an Android phone to your camera to this port here. Here we have the Samsung Galaxy Note 3. Once you've installed the app, it will look like this. DSLR controller right there. And then you need a couple of things to make this work. A USB on-the-go cable, also known as Otg Cable. You can pick these up on eBay for about $2. Your standard camera cable. Now this is actually exactly the same as the standard camera cable. The same end pieces. The USB normally goes to the computer and this piece to the camera. However, I got a slightly different one so it can be retracted. This piece I got in a market in Hong Kong for about $3, I think. So if we plug this in here, the piece that goes into the computer usually will go into the Otg cable, like so. As you see on the top of the Opteka X Grip, there's a cold shoe mount which you could put a microphone or whatever you want in there. But what we're going to use it for with this attachment, now there's a couple of pieces that you need here. This one. So we have this bending joint which fits into a cold shoe mount. This piece was about $5 or $4 or $5. You can find these on eBay. Screw that down there. This is to enable the screen to be able to actually move, which is very important. Now on top you have the screw mount, which you can add this piece. You'll find these all over eBay. They generally come with a mini tripod attached. If you search for iPhone tripod mount, something like that, then you may have to buy it with the actual mini tripod. But this should set you back no more than $5 or $6. Take off the tripod and then screw this piece on top. We'll screw that up, make sure it's nice and tight. And there we have our screen mount. Now the Galaxy Note 3 fits exactly in here. I have a rubber silicone case on this, and you'll see that it just about fits still. And it's very tight. I've used this in all kinds of extreme environments and had no problems. So once that's on there, it's ready to be plugged in. As soon as we plug it in, fire up the Dslr Controller app, you can see that the screen is now seeing exactly what is seen on the LCD screen on the camera. Now, the great thing about this is that you can actually control everything on the camera from the screen. So if we want to change our ISO setting on the camera, there you go. Not sure if you can see that there. There's the ISO. We can flip that to 160, whatever. It's too dark now, so let's flip it up to 2500. Then we can adjust the aperture down to 4. You see it's adjusting the shutter speed. It's extremely useful. You could have your camera on the tripod and you could have a longer cable and actually run this in a studio, or even give the monitor to your clients. You can actually see on here when I talk that the volume levels show up on the screen, which is also extremely important. So you can make sure that your volume is hitting the right mark, it's not peaking too much. As I said, I have this retractable cable, so it doesn't have all this extra cable length hanging around which you'd have to wrap around something. Now for audio, you really want to get yourself an external microphone, especially with using lenses like this which have image stabilization. If you run the stabilization, the noise from the stabilizer can actually be picked up inside the camera. Not very good. Plus the microphone in the camera is pretty terrible anyway, so you want to get an external mic. Now I picked up this mic here, the Azden SMX10. I will add the info in the description below. I think this was about $60. The microphone plugs in as usual here. And then where does it go? That's the problem. I picked up this extension arm from a small camera shop in Hong Kong, and it cost about $2.50, I think. You can find these online, maybe a little bit more expensive, $3 or $4 maximum. And then this screws in. Here. Now I've tested this configuration in many different ways, and I've worked out the ideal configuration for my needs. Let's just take the mic out. That slides nicely in there. Cable wraps around a few times. And plugs back in there. We now have already a pretty decent setup. I mean, you can spend $200–300 on an external microphone. This is a fairly cheap but fairly good performance for the price. I've been quite happy with it. And really, you're ready to go with this system. The screen can easily be adjusted, tilted forwards if you're shooting overhead, tilted backwards if you're shooting very low to the ground. Now, one thing that some of you might want is an additional light source. I got this rotor light, which actually is a very good quality piece of kit for not too expensive. This probably cost about $100. You can get cheaper ones, cheaper LED lights for video setups for $20 upwards. It depends what you're looking for. As I said, with all of the pieces on this kit, everything is customizable. You can spend as much or as little as you want on each piece. But this is decent, this. Now to attach this, we have another problem. So I got actually this piece from a store in Hong Kong. I've seen these online as well I think I've seen them online for about $10. I got this in Hong Kong for about $4, which is a great deal. And this can actually screw right into the bottom here. And the good thing about this is it can serve as an extra handle, as well as being able to add more attachments. Tighten it up a little bit. And now we have, you see that actually moves still a little bit, which is fine, because you're not going to be supporting the whole weight of the camera on this. In goes the light. Now there's just enough clearance for the light to get past the screen without causing a shadow from the screen. Just enough. You can adjust the screen actually if you slide it along this way when you're using the light. And it works pretty good. It's nice because the light is actually off center as well. So you do get a nicer angle with the light on the subject. You could, if you want to push that even further, you could actually put the light on the side. which gives quite nice results, but the problem is then that your rig is a lot wider than it was. So it depends how much room you have to work in. If you're shooting on a tripod, I mean, this would be fine. You want to make sure that everything is tightened down, especially if you're out in the field, running around. You don't want to have things popping off. As I said, I've been using this in extreme environments, shooting protests and riots, and I've had no problems at all with the camera, with the screen coming loose or the microphone coming loose. Everything is bolted in. So there we have it. And there we have it. A pretty solid rig for a fraction of the cost that you might spend. And I think by far one of the biggest bonuses of this setup is that you're actually using your phone as your screen, which is good for many different reasons. Number one, you don't need to buy an extra screen, which, as I said, could be $300 to $900. And another thing that I've found, especially when shooting out on location, you're running around and you need to quickly access your phone or the map. You're trying to find the next point to shoot at. Your phone can very quickly become a phone again. I can flip back to the home screen. Hit the Google Maps. And you can run around and you have your GPS system there in your hand at all times. Works fantastically. Flip back to the home screen. Flip back on the app and it fires back up. It's very fast. Okay, let's remove the light. It is a little bit bulky with the light on. And to be honest, I very rarely use the light unless I'm forced to. But there you go, easy to detach. And there is my standard setup. Screen, microphone, and very comfortable and also very lightweight cage system. Once I take off the screen here, this section actually slides straight into my camera bag. I'll just show you guys what this is like with a bigger lens. You may want a slightly longer reach than the 24 to 105. So here is the 70 to 200 f4 ISL lens. Works perfectly on this setup. I have tried this setup with my Canon 100 to 400 lens, which works, but there's a couple of reasons it's not very good. I have tried this setup with my Canon 100 to 400 lens, which works, but there's a couple of reasons it's not very good. It's slightly heavy, firstly, and secondly, the zoom on that lens is a push-pull. Once you push the zoom out to the long end, you find that it's quite unbalanced out here. And just getting access to the zoom is a bit of a pain. The great thing about this 70 to 200 is that the zoom is all internal. The lens doesn't change length. So you can easily zoom and focus there with that hand while you're holding the top. The 24-105 does extend, but it's minimal. So the balance of the rig is very, very well balanced, whether the lens is at the wide end or the telephoto end.